So Greg, what about guitarists like Joe Pass? Did you ever appreciate his playing?
I did, and I do some Joe Passisms.
You do some Joe Passisms.
Yes,
I've seen you do some.
If I do like those chordal things,
yeah.
You know, like one I love, like go to a 4-chord. That's a Joe Pass, or like if I go to, that's a Joe Passism, or there's like a. Those are all things I got.
You did this one turnaround thing in your blues where you did the two moving lines going like that. That's very Joe Pass.
I don't even know where I got that. All I know is that I stole this part from somebody.
That's literally out of a Joe Pass.
Maybe that's where I got it.
Yeah, that's a.
But then I added this little snippet. I added the.
Perfect.
And the wiseacre finish for the kids.
Okay, so talk about your rock influences.
Yes.
So who are the people that were, who are your main rock influences?
Well, Hendrix is my all-time favorite.
Yep.
And Cream era Clapton. Those are my two main things that even to this day I go back and play along with all the time. Hendrix, I did a report on Jimi Hendrix when I was in 3rd grade. Because I roomed with my brother. We were talking about this. We both come from families of 7 kids. Yep. The Church of Rome. And I was the youngest of 7. My brother was the oldest. There were 5 girls in between. So I had to room with my brother, and I was exposed to his record collection. And, you really look up to your older brother. He's like a god to you. And, when you walk into the room and you're with your friends playing around the house, and you walk into the room and he's sitting, his legs crossed in front of the stereo, and you're listening to this music, and he just sits there. I go, what is that? And he goes, this is Cream. Jack Bruce, Ginger Baker, Eric Clapton, collectively known as the Cream, 3 of the greatest of their instruments in the history of man. You're just like, whoa. So from there on, I was like, Clapton was, especially that Cream era, like up through like 1970. Don't get me wrong, folks. I still am a fan of that stuff afterwards. But I will just say the intention, I kind of put it as this way. For me, it's like prior to 1970, his voice was his fingers on the guitar. And after 1970, his voice was his real voice. His voice. And he still played great guitar, but the intention was different.
Yeah. So Greg, a lot of your playing that I'll see is you'll play a lot of chicken picking stuff, or you'll do Chet Atkins style guitar playing. Now, where did that happen? Well, actually demonstrate something like that.
Sure. So, the kind of, I remember I wrote this tune, a tune called Spank It back in the day. I thought this was funny as hell because it's a sharp 9 chord. Thought a Jimi Hendrix chord in a country song. How awesome. But I had, Dire Straits, I'd hear him do any kind of rhythm type of thing. Mark Knopfler, that is. It'd be like... And then he... So that was stuff I just kind of, Knopfler, and then I heard Albert Lee playing with Clapton. Mm-hmm. And so then I was hearing him doing, all that kind of stuff. And then I heard Ray Flack playing around 1983. There was a record called Ricky Skaggs' Heartaches and Highways and Heartaches. Mm-hmm. And I heard him playing. And so I thought, man, that's cool stuff. I want to add that to my arsenal as well. But again, I never really liked straight ahead country music at any point in time. I just like that sound.
I'd like to take a second to talk to you about this channel. This is actually Rick Beato 2. I've had it since the beginning of my main channel, and many of you are not subscribed. As a matter of fact, 87% of the people that watch this channel regularly are not subscribed. So I encourage you to hit the subscribe button on this channel and on my main channel. This will help me get even more of my dream guests and help continue to grow both channels. Thank you.
So then I heard, I learned a... like a good Ray Flack lick that I use all the time. That kind of stuff. But I like to mix it up with all my others. And then I got into Roy Buchanan, but I didn't get into him till later, relatively speaking, because that wasn't in my older siblings' record collection. So the first time I heard Roy Buchanan, which I've probably taken most of my tele pyrotechnic-y stuff from him and Danny Gatton, But Roy, I kind of was a little bit more into because he was more bluesy, whereas Danny was more jazzy, which I still, obviously, Danny was impeccable. But I first heard Roy when he put out a record on Alligator Records, again, when I was in high school. So it's like, 84-ish, maybe, 80, somewhere in there. He put out a record called When a Guitar Plays the Blues. And I heard those sounds. I thought, this kind of sounds like Hendrix on a telly with no whammy bar and no Marshall. This is awesome. And then when I went up to college and there was Sneaky Pete's Blues Cafe radio, and I would listen to it whenever it was on. I remember I had just taken a shower and come back to my room and I'm hearing this blues and I'm hearing these sounds. And when I talk about Roy would do that kind of stuff, I was like, that sounds like Band of Gypsies. I just stood in my tracks like, this has got to be Roy Buchanan. So then I did the deep dive on Roy, learned an absolute bunch. But what I would do initially is that I would always do my chicken picking separately from my flat picking. So the Knopfler way of playing, I learned with my thumb and first finger. And it was just the idea of, if I put my first finger on the A string, put my thumb down on the same string, the thumb hits a note that's muted because your first finger's behind it. So you just get a big old thud, and then it would pop up on the string. And just kind of use that all over the place and kind of get wiseacre, Right? Or, or whatever. So I started to just kind of apply that kind of stuff to my playing, but there was kind of this delineation between blues playing with my pick and that split second to pop the pick in between my two fingers and then do the chicken picking.